Welcome to the Thursday edition of AI Workstation Lunch and Learn, where we, as entrepreneurs, get together and talk about white labeling our platforms, getting customers, building out websites, and all the things associated with having a customer base and growing that. I'll also introduce my co-host, Joel Hill. Go ahead and introduce yourself again.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joel Hill here in the great state of Maryland. Just happy to be here this afternoon.
What's good about this format is, for number one, we're live. Number two, we incorporate everyone into the conversation. And then we also have it recorded. And 7 or 8 weeks later, Danny posts it to the website. It's going to get better, I promise. I was piled under for quite a few weeks there in June and the beginning of July, but I'm kind of coming up to breathe for air. So, some news. Yesterday, I did a presentation for Empire Board of Realtist in Atlanta. We're working through a platform white label rebuild similar to what Joel was doing for the aforementioned city. That's going to be exciting. Essentially, a white labeled version of the platform focused on real estate in Georgia. We should be launching in about 30 days. So that's going to be a fun project. And I think it's going to be one of the first that we build as a team and as a family that we can share with each other along that line. And the idea is you have a membership style group and members only benefit having access to customized AI apps that I'm building out for them. And as I build those apps, it's, customer feedback and we're building it, and it's going to be really like a good use case that I will share once we launch. Joel and I have talked about some targets in his market for the same kind of membership custom built platform. So again, that'll be really good. What's really good about that is that this will essentially be kind of a good use case slash model that we can all share in. And as we build out our individual white label businesses, you can follow along the pattern there. I did not mute my phone. I usually remember to do that because my phone is always ringing. Apologies. So it's going to be really exciting, and I'm really happy with that first possible customer there. The reason they're called Realtists is, speaking of Black history, in Georgia, 86 years ago, when they were trying to form that board, they weren't allowed to use the word realtor. The white realtor groups wouldn't allow them to use the word realtor. So as Black entrepreneurs, they came up with the term realtist instead. So that's why it became the Empire Board of Realtists. And they keep the name now because, of course, for pride reasons. Of course, all of them are realtors as well. I just thought that was an interesting little tidbit. As I get closer, I will share that. And anytime you guys want to see the platform as I'm building it now, I'm happy to share. Today is primarily Joel's call, so I'll let Joel go ahead and start his presentation and go from there.
Thank you, Danny, and I appreciate this opportunity to be with you all. Several things. There's a lot that has happened in the last week since we last met, and there's several things I want to talk about today. First, I want to tell Danny that, just the app that you're building, it's applicable here. My daughter works for a realtist or realtor, Black female who has her own agency in one of the richest communities in the nation, Prince George's County and Charles County. She has a large agency, and I'm sure she would be interested in partnering with us in this endeavor if we gave her a presentation. So I just want to put that on the table so that you know that there's a ready market. I just want to also mention to Dr. Rashawn, welcome to the group. Her background is impressive in terms of what she does. Pastor Freeman wasn't here earlier when she gave her brief bio in terms of who she is and what she does and who she works with, the technologists, especially within our community, developing applications that support the benefit of the communities, and also working with leaders who are not so, tech inclined, but want to get into the digital transformation space. So I think she and Pastor Freeman have something to share at some point. The last thing before I get into my presentation, this meeting, the first, half hour, I want to dedicate it to something that came up this weekend. I met with Pastor Freeman, his lovely wife, and his family. They came to the global headquarters of Kemet Group in Port Tobacco, Maryland. We had a fellowship. We broke bread together. It was a lovely Sunday afternoon, and we presented the application. I just want to give Pastor Freeman a minute to get his impression of how the demo went. It looks like Pastor Freeman's at work. and he has to close the door, and he's back.
Thank you, Joel. We met at the Palace, my wife and I thoroughly enjoyed it. We were awestruck and impressed and thankful and all of those ingredients with what the experience that we had. And I'm still speechless as to I'm excited, got my sleeves rolled up, ready to work and open to the experts to learn from and work under.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And before we dive into the what I have, and so from that, I am an emerging application developer and builder. After we met with Pastor Freeman, I realized that if we are going to be in this space, we have to develop a transition plan for these applications we are building. In this particular application build, there are a lot of moving parts and pieces that still have not come together. I have a presentation that will demonstrate some of the issues I've come up with, and then we can have discussions in terms of how do we turn these over as an agency model. And Danny has already given some feedback, and we'll let him talk about this. Today, we're here to talk about after you have your demo, your beta test to your client, okay, what's the next steps in terms of a handover for the platform? And so we want our clients to walk away confident that they are equipped to be ready to manage their application themselves or continue with do it for you services or do it yourself services. And so once they have access, we need to develop that plan. I'm going to share my screen and go through that. And then afterwards, if we have time, I'll let Christina show you the bot, but also have a very special something that we did for Pastor Freeman this weekend. We created a video of a podcast of his app, which I think is incredible. So I'll bring the presentation up and let's see, what do I need to do? Share my screen. Okay, so here we go. Okay, is everyone seeing the screen?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the application turnover strategy based on what I've discovered as a digital transformation agent in this space. We designed this application for Pastor Freeman, his curated works, as well as link it to his larger ministry. So what's being turned over? There's a lot of things. The application, the domain, the knowledge bases, and how you get paid or donations. So when we turn this thing over, what's included? We want to make sure that, each person that we contract with has a full understanding of what they designed, purchased, and bought. And now it's like buying a car. Okay. You buy a new car, you still got to maintain it. So we've delivered the Ferrari here to Pastor Freeman. Now, Pastor Freeman, this Ferrari is going to require maintenance. Ferraris cost a lot of money to maintain. So you need to understand the different components of the Ferrari. So the components of this app obviously is the platform, the domain, the bots associated with it, all the modules associated with it. And I mentioned knowledge bases associated with it, the areas in terms of, for example, we use Zoho knowledge base where we store the articles, the guides, his bios, and all the curated data he has given us. It's in our vault within our Zoho platform. And then we use APIs to link to it. Now, the website domain, obviously, Nonprofit AI we own that domain. Now, Pastor Freeman we haven't discussed this yet, Pastor Freeman, I know, in terms of he can come up with his own domain. We can change that domain, not a problem. Or we can work out something where you own that domain. And obviously, there's costs associated with, if you want to purchase a domain or keep the same domain that we have, you may want to think about your own domain. Merchant processing, you talked to me earlier, Pastor Freeman, and I think you were looking at getting a Zelle account. Now that we know what's involved, who maintains it? Who's going to maintain the knowledge base? Who's going to maintain the bots? Who's going to maintain the domain name and hosting? Because each domain you can buy for 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, or 5 years. It just depends on what service you use. We use GoDaddy. I mentioned the merchant account, the Stripe, and for any technical support, glitches, or updates, who do we contact? The problem is this application was built in Famous AI AI Workstation, BizBuild, Zoho. We need to think about those sort of things. So, what's the solution? Well, I don't know. And that's why I'm bringing it to the body. We can create an app to help us manage applications that we create. It needs to be like a dashboard overview. It needs to have when the domains expire, updates needed. It's all possible, but that's just time, thought process, and building that particular app to maintain that central control plan as a digital transformation agency. Now, this is something that we would have to consider, and I have not given it full consideration or thought in terms of how I would create a centralized dashboard, but it's something that even if we turn it over, the individual has to recognize and be aware of. So what's the next step? We need to talk about admin roles, contacts, the domain, the Stripe payment, who's responsible for the annual domain review, and that's all dependent on who owns what. Knowledge base updates, and of course, training. We can develop a training plan for this turnover strategy, and that's one solution so that everyone expectations are met. So I found this little slide in terms of a turnaround strategy, 5 steps, build a plan. We've already analyzed it. We pinpointed the problem of different domains, different applications we use, knowledge bases, bots, and all those things, and payment processing. All those things have to be considered. All those categories need to be thought about in a digital transformation agency. That is my take. I'm just going to pause here and invite any thoughts, comments.
Pastor, do you have any questions before I go?
No, Danny, I wouldn't even know the question to ask, so I'm
Okay, fair enough. So I think Joel brought up absolutely as usual from a process point of view. We can brainstorm on this, but generally speaking, as Joel said in the pre-call, while we were waiting for everyone to join, there's essentially 3 versions within an agency model. There's the do-it-yourself model. The customer may say, "Yep, I'm good. I'll take it from here." The done with you is probably my most popular option when I have this discussion with customers. We maintain some sort of a maintenance contract. The maintenance contract is based on an hourly rate. A base low rate is probably $25 an hour. The rate can be $250 an hour, depending on your, perceived value. And more importantly, what it is you're actually doing. So if you say to a customer, "Hey, I'll do 5 hours a month and you're $25 a month," there you go, you have the number. And then you're working with them. They take care of maintaining and updating certain things, and you take care of the more technical things. So you can go that model. And then the third model is completely done for you. In an agency model, that's usually a percentage of whatever the activity is. For example, I have a customer, they're an HVAC company. We sit down, talk about what they need. They have an established website, but it sucks. And they want to, number one, fix the website, but more importantly, they want to grow revenue. So we sit down and we come out with a plan. I say to them, "All right, what's your monthly budget that you want to spend on marketing?" First, I ask them, "What's the size of your organization? If you want to share your annual revenue, that'll give me an idea of the size of revenue, which of course will help me guide budget for you." They say $300,000 to $400,000 a year, and I congratulate them. I say, "There you go. You have a really good sized. Congratulations on your success. What is a good budget for you?" They explained that we've done this SEO stuff before and we got ripped off and we didn't ever see any results from it. And I nodded, and because that is the common thing that happens to people who are doing SEO marketing. Those guys are not really in it for the customer. She picked a budget of $1,000. I come back with a proposal. First, we do all the requirements gathering. I understand her business, her vision of where she wants to grow. My proposal to her was very affordable within her $1,000 budget. I will, for the first month, work on just building your website and your digital marketing content, your ad content and setting it all up. That's $1,000. The first 1,000 goes right to that. And then from there, we'll put you on a typical agency model, which is that $1,000 budget. 15% of it goes towards maintaining your ad campaign, coming up with new creatives, and the rest is actual ad spend. And I'll spend that money in the first 2 weeks and then spend the next 2 weeks kind of looking at all the conversions, how is it performing, and making changes for the next month. So that's an example of an agency model where you have a setup fee, number one. So you're going to build out their platform or build an app for them. You charge them a certain amount for that app. And then ongoing, you charge them either a percentage of marketing, or if you say, I'm going to do 10 hours at $25 an hour, they pay you for your time. That's a typical agency model. It's either per hour or percentage. I wanted to give you real world examples.
Okay, Danny, are you going to, we have to wait 6 or 7 weeks for you to put this up, right?
No, no. I request.
Okay,
I do
okay.
request. So the one on Tuesday was very good, and obviously, yes, I'm happy to put this one up there as well.
Okay, because I appreciate the breakdown. That was very helpful. And also, Joel, I got to tell you, I have been kind of playing in my head with the whole handoff scenario. And I've been looking very closely. I work with the Wix platform. So I've really enjoyed how they have set up their handoff or onboarding process. The thing that I wanted to say is that I really do find that people respond very well to short videos. They could be as short as 3 minutes, but it shows them where they can run it back until they get it. I like the way you broke down the needs assessment, Joel. And then to Pastor Freeman, in reference to the knowledge base, this is where I find that things like this work very well in our attempts to maintain our intergenerational viability, because you have a group of young people who are always wanting something to get into and needing training to enter the workforce. You've already put out what you want your knowledge base to look like. And then the younger people in your organization can be tasked with the maintenance of that. So each month or every 3 months, they go in and update the information. And that's a group of your young warriors that do that, right? So that's a really good space to work with the maintenance of the knowledge base. Whenever I'm doing anything technical, I prefer to have a Danny on hand so that I can call and talk to. I prefer that they walk me through it. So when I hit this thing again, I'll at least know how to work through it or move it further ahead than I've previously been able to do.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd like to contribute.
Thank you.
I'll piggyback off of that and then turn it over to you, Joe. One of the reasons why I use the format that I use for these calls is as an entrepreneur and you're building out your business, you only have so many hours in the day. Helping individual customers with their problems one at a time is not sustainable. And I tell all my customers, feel free to reach out to me, but the reality of it is you can't do that and scale. So what you have to do is exactly what Joel and I are doing right now. You have to have office hours, or whether you call it one to many or whatever you want to call it, both for your sanity and ability to make your customers happy, and also for your customers. They have a community where they can go to. I do these calls twice a week. One is flavored as BuildBiz.ai, and the other one is flavored as a partnership with Joel, AI Workstation. They have two different focuses. The one on Tuesday is strictly about the platform and how to use the platform. Anybody's welcome to join, and it is free. I update people on what's new, and then I answer questions on the platform and things that people are having trouble with. And the same thing applies to AI Workstation. This was Joel's idea where we converted the regular Lunch and Learn into something specifically for white label and entrepreneurs who are building their business. This entire conversation came from that idea, but it helps to also say, if you are going to build out your own community of white label users, it is a great idea to have at least 1 hour a week office hours, training, group support, therapy session, and news. What's new in the platform, things like that. It's good to have that one-to-many as you build out your own platform or invite them to our call. It's fine. I build my model on, and everybody is welcome model, but you may want to have exclusivity in yours. But I suggest you at least have an hour. So I'll turn it over to Joel. I just wanted to point that out.
Okay, Danny, thanks. I appreciate all the comments, and I think it makes sense. And Danny is absolutely correct about trying to build and sustain the model. In terms of a small agency like me who has a niche, a limited number of clients that they are willing or wanting to work with, that model could work. If you are one to many and you want to do this as a business, you have to develop a specific workflow with agents and bots. If you think you're going to scale, you have to have a vetting process to try to vet out the ones that require hands-on service. There are many ways to do that. I can create, for example, it's simple. Well, for me, it would be simple to create, if I wanted to vet the people with inquiries, you have to create a ticket. So you have to have some sort of software to create a ticket for this person. The bot answers. If the bot can't answer that problem, then it elevates it to the next level, just like any customer service process. A fine, smart virtual assistant such as Christina, you can say, here's my business hours. You can get video online support where we can actually go into your system and help you with that. Because I use the Zoho One production platform, I'm able to create a bot that gives you access to video chat. It's all doable. It's just a process. It's timing, and it's an application build. But what I'm saying, if you can conceive of the workflow, you can design a strategy to address those things. Does that make sense, Dr. Rashawn?
Yes, it does make sense. Going through the process is what I'm doing now. I'm really trying to understand how to best use Digital Express, what pieces I want available to people, and then creating the process video. This is how you get on, this is how you use it, this is when you will use this piece as opposed to using this piece. And giving people the option. I've run into in creating with Famous, the connectivity piece has been running me through a loop. I am working now between Famous and Base 44. I find Base 44 does it better because a lot of the things I'm having problems with in Famous, Base 44 has it built in and it does it. That's working for me. But for people to get the support to have community, I think that's where my focus for my people will be the Build Biz Digital Express piece. To be with a group of other people who are doing it, to hear people working through their issues, I find is always helpful to the group of people that I work with. First, it helps them understand you're not stupid. This is new technology you're trying to integrate, and you'll have some bumps, and other people are having similar bumps. So that's where I am with it right now.
I have a process to help me sort that out, and I'll share it with you. What I would do is get a Word document and start writing out all the things that you want to do and as Danny and I have known to do, the big idea generator. I mean, that's helpful. Go to the big idea generator, or you can create, you don't have to use that, but you can use ChatGPT or Perplexity to flesh out the big idea. And you say, now I want to develop an application to help me control and manage it. And I will usually take that over to ChatGPT and ask it to develop me an application and the Python code. What I discovered was that I didn't have tokens in the Superbase directory. So I had to create a Superbase account. So now that I've done that, it's made it much easier. But I also asked when I'm asking ChatGPT to build me the Python code to include Superbase code on top of that. And I don't know what it does in the background, but it does.
Mhm.
So it's helpful. I found that the key to this technology, AI, is being able to speak it. If you can speak it, you
Mhm.
conceive it, you can develop it, you just tell it what you want it to do. So that's what we've learned in our prompt engineering classes.
Right.
Your
That's right.
prompt
That's right.
is the key. So and start from there. And then once you get that code, I'll take it out of GPT or whatever. I will then take it to Famous and say, okay, create this app. And it'll create it. I'll spend 4 or 5 different iterations trying to get it right and correct it. And
Mhm.
that's when the fun starts. And you start using a lot of credits, as you well know. I've exhausted my
Mhm.
credits. I've had to upgrade Famous several times because this thing, Danny, gets expensive. So I'm starting to look at maybe my cost rise for application development. You have to build that in, especially if someone wants their app developed. It costs credits every time you run that Famous AI, every time you create a video. People don't understand that that's happening in the background. So you have to account for that somehow in your pricing structure.
Right. And I think too, part of the work that I'm in is understanding what system I need to work with so I'm not wasting a lot of credits. How far can I go with my chat GPT so that when I put it in Famous, it's doing the heavy lifting and not me trying to figure out what it is I'm trying to do.
When you
You get
find
what I'm
out, let me know.
I'll give you a couple of clues. First of all, ChatGPT specifically knows what famous is, but
saying?
use generic terms like vibe coding or no code apps, and that helps. More importantly, I'll have to take a look maybe one of these weeks. I'll see if I can get just an app wireframe or workflow conversation on one of these calls. But the idea is it's like anything else you do in life, whether you do it on a piece of paper in a Word doc or a whiteboard app, you kind of want to think about what does the end result look like before you start. And this is the thing that Joel is famous for. Think about your app, your idea. You can start it with just a sentence, but if you do use that methodology, sometimes you'll kind of walk yourself into a corner and then you realize, oh man, I need this. And then you got to backtrack. And then it's a lot of fixing things to get back to where you want to be. A typical example is you start building your app, it's fantastic. And then you go, you know what? I need an admin portal. Oh, wait, I need this. Oh, wait, no, I need that, right? It's better if you kind of put all that together into the first prompt that you ask ChatGPT or whatever AI you use to build
Mhm.
for you so it knows I'm going to have an admin portal, I'm going to have a user portal, I want them to be able to keep this information and kind of lay all that out. It doesn't automatically say you're never going to have to put in another prompt, but what it'll do is it'll allow Famous to set the foundation so it knows I'm going to have ultimately 3 dashboards. I'm going to have this type of user. They're going to need to log in. So eventually it'll ask you for Superbase. And if you do the Superbase, as Joel just says, in Famous, it takes care of all the connectivity of all the tokens and things between the app and Superbase. A little pre-planning, a little thinking ahead helps you save a lot of time. So
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
just the first kind of pro tip. It doesn't really matter which vibe coding app you use. A little pre-thought helps goes a long way in cutting down the amount of credits to utilize. Secondary thing is if you create databases in Superbase, make sure you go back and either delete those projects that you're not using or create a second Superbase account that's free and then transfer those databases you're not using anymore to the free account. Because the way Superbase works is a little tricky that in the free account, it'll automatically shut down a database that's not being used and tell you, hey, that database is still there, but it's been put to sleep. If you want to activate it, click here.
I've experienced that.
So that's all it's doing, saving machine CPU time. It takes a certain amount to maintain a database. If you upgrade to a paid account, whether it's the $25 one or whatever, it won't let you put those to sleep. You either have to delete them or transfer them to a free account so that you can put them to sleep. And because there is monthly costs with Superbase as soon as you go above the free account. Superbase, you can use AWS, you can use SQL, you can use any database, but then you have to know how to connect it. If you use Superbase, Famous automatically takes care of connecting them together. Hopefully that's a little bit of information you guys can file away. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. That means you don't need it yet.
I can't wait for you to post this, Danny, and to analyze this transcript to get the notes from this, because this is a very important meeting here today. So, yeah, I would like to get the notes and make sure we transcribe it.
I got two requests, no problem. And the other thing I'll add is everybody keeps saying that, hey, you know so much, but it's not a matter of knowing a lot. I want to give a shout out to everybody in these calls, whether they're on this call or not. If you're entrepreneurial and trying to figure this out, don't worry, it'll come with time. It comes with repetition. Just do it. If you have 5 messages a day in Famous, use those 5 messages every day. Don't, so keep at it. When you run out of your 5 messages, just go take a break until tomorrow. Come back and keep building. Don't give up. You'll figure it out. So I'm just saying it comes with that. And then in Famous, there's a Discord group. And there's also the help section. So don't forget that. In the help section, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of documents in there that can help. And then in Discord is literally thousands of people asking the exact same questions that you're asking. So go ahead and jump in there. If you are going to use Famous all the time, there's 3 Famous training calls a week. I don't give those. Those are by Famous. And so again, there's just lots of resources out there. This is the hottest part of AI technology, other than the goal of trying to build a completely autonomous AI tool. Agentic technology, such as Famous, is the most fastest growing segment. So
Yeah.
we add in Famous 100 to 150 new customers a day. That's how fast that product is growing.
Let me share with you why. I sit here and I watch my TV. Somebody's gotten some money for advertising and marketing.
You've seen those ads.
I see 3 an hour.
There's Mr. Famous. There's what's the boy's name? Method Man. There's quite a few, and then they have all of the characters. Those are also out there.
Yeah, I mean, so
Yeah, in my Facebook feed, I get at least 3 a day.
well, they're doing television commercials now, so
Yeah.
ad spin. Then you have anything else? I will close it out with a special project that we did for Pastor
Yeah, go right ahead.
I put in the chat the nonprofit AI website. So I won't ask Christina to demo it again. You can go there and see what we've done, and send us email or something. Let us know what you like or what you didn't like. So it's nonprofitai.ai. It's in the chat. The next thing we did was the special thing. We created a podcast for Pastor Freeman of 2 people talking about his product. I'm going to share it with you.
Perfect. It's up at the top, the play button.
Is at the top? Okay.
Yeah, it's at the top of the screen.
Let me bring it down. Sorry.
No, I can see it.
Can you still see it now?
No, it's not shared now.
Okay.
Take your time. Christina, you need to add a fave icon for nonprofit.ai.
Okay, here we go.
I can't see it. You got to reshare in Zoom.
Super.
Don't forget to share sound. We're seeing the
really inspiring to hear how a lifetime in ministry
your
can
folders, not the video.
Say again?
listen.
We were
Pastor
seeing
Freeman
your folders. You were sharing the wrong screen.
Sorry.
I know you have your AI workstation, superstation, and you got too many screens.
All right. I'm going to try this one more time.
Okay, we see your folders.
All right.
Sitting poolside with
See it
that
now?
warm, relaxed vibe.
There we go. Now we see it.
Modern technology. Sitting poolside with that warm, relaxed vibe. It's really inspiring to hear how a lifetime in ministry can meet modern technology. Listen, Pastor Freeman's journey, spanning over 40 years and a deep personal encounter with God, is a testament to that power.
So tell me, how does stepping into digital outreach with nonprofit AI.ai actually amplify that calling?
Pastor Freeman always believed in making the gospel accessible, not just within walls of a church, but out where people are seeking answers. And nonprofit AI.ai is crafted to be that digital extension, not a replacement of in-person fellowship, but a bridge to reach the unreachables.
It's almost like he's saying, why limit hope to physical doors when the digital world can open new ones?
Exactly. And there's something humbling about never having gone to seminary, but still pursuing a deep, earnest study through everyday church-based experiences. It really highlights God's work in those real-life moments.
Now, some might argue that technology could distract from true personal ministry. How do you see that being balanced here?
That's a good point. And I respectfully challenge that notion by saying it's like a tool in a carpenter's workshop.
Yeah.
When used with prayer and discernment, technology, especially a platform like nonprofit AI.ai, can extend the warmth and wisdom of the church in a controlled, protective way.
I like that analogy. It's like giving the message a bigger, more inclusive home.
Absolutely. They designed the app with integrity
Right.
and care, ensuring that every piece of content, from Pastor Freeman's testimony to his debut book, reaches out and reinforces the legacy built not only by his words, but by his family ties and deep roots.
And speaking of legacy, the imagery of family photos and that cross in the background really cements the idea that faith is both personal and generational.
Spot on indeed. His family, his wife Sharon, children and grandchildren represent that ongoing narrative, like a living testament to the continuity of faith and service over generations. It reminds us that every outreach effort, whether digital or physical, weaves into that tapestry of legacy.
It's fascinating how seamlessly technology can integrate with timeless messages when done right.
And let's not forget the care taken by the Kemet Group. They listened, respected his vision, and crafted a platform that safeguards his values while opening doors to new audiences. It's a model of excellence and integrity.
And in a world where digital distractions abound, keeping the focus on discipleship sways the choice of tool for ministry.
Exactly. At its core, this isn't about subverting tradition. It's about extending the reach of truth and hope in a way that complements, rather than competes with, the timeless mission of the church. And that's a melody hard to beat.
What a rich conversation, blending decades of lived faith with new age digital outreach, all while staying anchored in authenticity and legacy.
Truly, it's the perfect synergy of tradition and innovation, aimed at inspiring both today's seeker and tomorrow's believer.
Well, I've got a couple of different feedback from different parts of my brain. So I'll give you the short version because I got to jump for another call. From the first-time observer viewpoint, the avatar on the left, I think, was most convincing. The avatar on the right was a little bit too reactive in certain parts and things like that. If I was to re-edit it, the changes I would make would be to cut out a little bit of her scenes. It'll also shorten it a little bit. I think the messaging from the left was very effective, and it was delivered in a way that even if people are like, is that AI or is it not AI? For the most part, the delivery on the left, the messages were the most important messages. Her reaction part of it was, to me, secondary and not as necessary. So even if you went back to the video and you just sliced out some of her reaction parts, you wouldn't be missing anything. Her rights and things like that, the timing on it was a little distracting. If you went back to the video and just sliced that out, you wouldn't miss anything from the real importance. Now, she did have lines that delivered real content and was really important to the message of the overall video. So obviously she is important, plus it's a dialogue, so you want to have two people in it. That would be my first thing. Make it a little shorter, keep the really important messages in there, because I think it's, really good. I like the concept of it, that dialogue, and to have the delivery of those messages. Some of them were very powerful. The content of the video was perfect. It was more some of the extraneous things that she was doing.
No, you're spot on, Danny, and that's correct. We don't know what to do with this. We just developed it. But the problem is, we discovered that the person on the right, the lady, she has ADHD, and she wasn't on her medications that day. That's why she's an anime. You're absolutely right about her.
Yeah, there's just some things that were just a little too much. So that's
Thanks, Tina.
hilarious. That's hilarious. But
So,
okay.
so Dr. Rashawn, you got any thoughts on it before we close out? We got 3 minutes.
Yeah.
The optics were a bit much for me,
Yeah.
but I think it would work really, really well as a audio. And as Danny said, to cut out a lot of her, about 2/3 of her reaction.
Yeah. I think that would be the key element, whether it was video or not. If you just sliced out her parts out of the overall video, I think it'd be perfect. In addition to this, you still should record Pastor Freeman having his own 2 to 3 minutes speaking into the camera about his ministry and the purpose of it. There is nothing more effective for the brand to have the brand spokesperson do an introductory 3-minute video.
We have that. We did that Sunday. So we
Okay,
got,
perfect.
Christina's working on that now. That will be on the landing page.
I think the content is great.
Pastor Freeman, did you get the excerpt of your video?
Yes, I did. I got it.
All right. So we're going to include a portion of that in the landing page.
All right. I'm going to jump. Great call. Thanks, Joel. Great content. Everybody, I will endeavor to make this special request posted as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Appreciate you both. Thank you very much.
All right, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.